What would you do if you had cancer?
If I had cancer, I would immediately get out of America because this is a stressful environment, and stress does, cause cancer to exacerbate. So I would immediately leave here, go somewhere indigenous where I can be around fruits, vegetables, easy. I would immediately start juicing, not eating, because the thing you want to do is you want to starve cancer.
Right.
Because you can feed cancer. And one of the primary things you can feed cancer with is sugar. Okay, so I want to starve it by first not eating any kind of sugar. And then I want my body to be in such a healthy state. And remember what I told you. When your belly is empty, like the more you eat, the more healthier you're gonna be. Like it's just facts. And so I'm gonna juice a lot so I can keep my body in a rested state so it can use all of the energy it would be breaking down food with to heal, regenerate, and repair.
The food industry and the processed food industry was created by the cigarette industry.
Picture this. The United States government has technology so advanced, so terrifyingly precise, that it can locate a single human being hiding behind a concrete wall just from the sound of their heartbeat. It's called ghost murmur, a radar-based system so sensitive it can detect the faint, rhythmic pulse of your heart from up to 40 miles away. 40 miles. You could be sitting in your living room, minding your business, and this technology already knows you're alive just from the sound your heart is making right now. Let that sink in for a second. America can find a heartbeat, but it cannot stop one from giving out. Because while billions of dollars pour into surveillance technology, stealth aircraft, and AI-powered weapon systems, over 600,000 Americans are still dying from cancer every single year. And a growing body of research is now pointing a finger at something hiding in plain sight: the food on your plate. We're not talking about the obvious stuff. We're talking about ingredients that have been quietly banned in dozens of countries around the world, yet somehow still sitting on American grocery store shelves, stuffed inside the foods millions of families eat every single day. So how does the most technologically advanced nation on Earth, a country that can literally track you by your heartbeat, still have no cure for one of the deadliest diseases in human history? Well, some scientists believe the answer isn't in a lab, it's in your kitchen.
This is America. Look what I'm whipping up.
Today's video is a video you want to watch this one all the way through.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now, as a chef, they are allowing these producers to force printed meats on the masses. I said it a couple weeks ago, I'm gonna tell y'all again.
Animal food is the past. Believe me, this is a dish of the future. So we are just going to roast the carrots and the potatoes and finish this 3D printed meat in the oven with a little bit of red wine sauce, and then I will plate it.
If you're living in America, you have to tell me if this makes any sense. The food, what is going on? Like, it does not taste like food. Like, something's off.
I bought this chicken at a local grocery store, and immediately it started falling apart as I was getting ready to bread it and put it in the fryer. It started stringing up and it totally disintegrated after I filmed this video.
Y'all, what are they doing to our food? I got these strawberries like 3 days ago. Why are they all rotten and moldy already? Same for zucchini, mango, doesn't matter what you buy from the store. Why is it all going bad after 2 to 3 days? Why do I have to eat everything the same day that I purchase it? On top of that, like, why are the inside of all my strawberries white? Aren't they supposed to be red? At this point, y'all just want us to eat dust.
I'm here at Aldi, and almost everything they have contains bioengineered food ingredients.
How can I eat pasta, pizza, and wine every day and actually lose weight? What is wrong with the food that we're eating in the United States? Can somebody please explain to me why when I'm in Europe, I can have like coffee with sugar and real milk in it, croissants for breakfast, pasta, pizza every day, and wine? All of these foods in the US would make me put on weight, so bloated, have so many stomach problems. And there, nothing. I actually lose weight. I literally go around Italy and I'm eating pasta and pizza every day, wine every day, gelato, and I'm losing weight. From the US, I'm trying to eat really clean, eating my little salads, eating my quinoa, and like, that is not happening.
The food in the US is poison, and let me show you. I've been in France for the past 14 days, and my clothes simply no longer fit. And it was not big at all before, literally on the tight side. They're all falling off to the point where if I let this go, it'll fall down.
Hey, what up, though? So I said I'm gonna do this little experiment I saw on TV where they said the bread that we eat right now ain't real, and so they like took the bread and smashed it, and then it just popped back up. So I just went out and bought this. So this is whole grain because I always try to get the healthy stuff, right? So I took the bread and I balled it up in my hand. Usually bread will just stay like that, right? The is going on?
I'm not here to tell you to panic. I just think it's interesting that we'll research a phone for weeks before buying it, but we don't always research the food we eat every single day. 5 foods that are slowly killing us. Starting with the first thing on our list, we have seed oils, because this one, it's everywhere, and most people don't even notice it.
But here's the thing about oils. Oils are empty calories. They have no nutrition in them. Okay, so when you're consuming oils, all you're getting is fat.
I'm talking about vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, and sunflower oil. If you flip over almost any packaged snack in your kitchen, one of those is probably in there.
The oil ain't made from that. It's always made from soybean oil. And these soybeans are not only GMO, but to turn it into oil in this jug, they have to use so much process, heat, and refinement that the oil becomes oxidized, and they have to use a deodorizer to make it edible. This is one of the most inflammatory oils ever.
Now here's what's interesting. These oils don't just get squeezed out like olive oil. Many of them undergo heavy industrial processing. The seeds are crushed, heated, and sometimes treated with chemical solvents to extract as much oil as possible.
The reason for this is it's not the plant. It's the distance from the plant to the table. When you put a canola plant into a commercial press, it comes out gummy, and you degum it with hexane, which is a known neurotoxin. Then you take that neurotoxin degummed oil and you heat it to 405 degrees and you turn it rancid. You need to deodorize it with sodium hydroxide, which is a very powerful carcinogen. Sometimes bleach it before you bottle it.
Then the oil is refined, bleached, and deodorized so that it appears neutral and doesn't have an unpleasant odor. That alone should make you pause. And then think about this. These oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. Your body needs some omega-6, but the problem is balance. Most modern diets are overloaded with omega-6 and low in omega-3, and that imbalance is linked to inflammation. Even Dr. Bobby Price attests to this very thing.
Also, oils are high in omega-6 fats. You probably heard of omega-3s, which are actually anti-inflammatory, but these oils are actually loaded with omega-6s, which are pro-inflammatory, which means they cause inflammation. So the more of these oils you consume, the more you like sauteed, the more you like fried and crunchy, the more oils that you see and use in your foods or purchasing your food when you're buying food out at the supermarket or buying food at restaurants, the more oil you're using, the more inflammation you're adding to your body.
And what are seed oils usually used for? Deep frying, fast food, chips, packaged snacks, restaurant meals. They're cheap, they're shelf stable, they can be reused in fryers over and over. But when oil is repeatedly heated to high temperatures, it can oxidize.
It's all about heat. Each oil has a smoke point. The smoke point is the point to when the oil starts to burn. And that's when we can get those carcinogens and free radicals that can harm our body.
And oxidized fats are not something your body loves dealing with. It dreads the sight of them. Now, I'm not saying that if you eat something cooked in seed oil once, you're doomed. Relax. But when it becomes your everyday fat source, when it's in your snacks, your takeout, your salad dressing, your frozen meals, that's when it adds up quietly. The issue isn't 1 tablespoon, it's constant exposure.
85% of the avocado oils on the store shelf are fake. Why are they fake? Well, they're made with avocados that are cut with oils like canola oil, peanut oil, soybean oil, or they're made with old moldy avocados and processed to death. You can't tell.
And once you start checking labels, you realize how often you've been eating it without even knowing it.
Fraud usually occurs here when a cheaper oil is added to the more expensive oil, and the label still reads 100% extra virgin olive oil. That's food fraud.
Now, moving on. At number 2, we have fried foods. Okay, I know. Fried food tastes good. Crispy chicken, fries, puff puff, plantain, that crunchy outside, soft inside situation, elite. But here's the thing nobody really thinks about. Frying completely changes the structure of food. When you deep fry something, you're dropping it into extremely hot oil.
I'm giving you a gut punch now when I'm saying get rid of the fried foods, because everybody love a little crunchy. But what I can tell you is when you are deep frying foods, and it doesn't matter if it's vegetables, once you deep fry them, it's no longer the healthy thing that it was.
That high heat doesn't just cook it, it creates chemical reactions. One of the big ones is called the Maillard reaction. That's what gives fried food that golden brown color and rich flavor. Sounds harmless, right?
So if you're frying potatoes or some other high carbohydrate food, that's going to spike your blood sugar and spike your insulin. That's unhealthy. That's going to cause damage inside your body. It's going to cause glycation. So you want to only fry low carbohydrate foods.
Well, when starchy foods like potatoes are fried at high temperatures, they can form something called acrylamide. That's a chemical compound that researchers have studied because of its potential health risks in large amounts. And then there's the oil itself. If that oil is heated over and over again, like in restaurants or fast food places, it starts breaking down.
On a busy day, how many times you reuse the oil for deep frying?
It's about 30 times, 30 to 40 times.
请问你多长时间换一次油呢？
我是3天换一次。
老板娘，你是多长时间换一次油的呢？每个拜五咯。I see that you do deep frying.
Yeah.
How often do you change your oil?
Twice a week.
How many batches of food do you cook before you change your oil?
Around like 300 portions.
The structure of the fat changes. It can form oxidized compounds and even trans fats, depending on how it's handled.
Or sunflower or safflower oil. Vegetable shortening, no. Crisco, any of these things are absolutely unhealthy for human beings to eat. They contain an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio that is very unhealthy, and they also oxidize very rapidly, which is also very inflammatory and unhealthy for the human body. And when you heat them to the temperature required to fry your food, they oxidize double time.
So it's not just potato plus oil. It's a potato plus repeatedly overheated oil that has chemically shifted.
I would say if you're going to have something fried, pan fry it. And then I would say if you're going to do that, do in a high quality, high temperature oil like an avocado oil.
This is what a scientist had to say after conducting extensive research on fried foods.
As it turns out, food scientist Richard Kaur conducted another experiment for us. He's fried a batch of potato chips and a batch of fried chicken in used oil.
Smells so good.
Smell nice, right?
Yeah.
Well, do you want to know what we found in the lab?
Yes,
Between
please.
these two items here, fried chickens and fried potato. Which one do you think is actually more unhealthy?
Definitely the chicken.
Okay, so you're right. We found actually double of the aldehydes as well as free fatty acids in the fried chicken's oil as compared to the fried potatoes oil. You can see from the results here. This is the potatoes after being used for 5 times, and then this is for the chicken. It's almost double.
Okay, so what I want to know now is why is it that the chicken produce more aldehydes?
Because for the potato chips here or fried potatoes, you only use single ingredients and it's purely carbohydrate. But for the fried chickens, we have added, the better the flour, the eggs, as well as, the chicken skins have additionals of fats. So you actually mix new fats to the oil, and then that's when you find more actually other aldehydes as well as free fatty acids. In addition to that, when you have all these more complex ingredients, the flour, the eggs, they may actually have some debris left in the oil, which interact with the oil even further.
And let's talk about how fried food makes you feel. It's heavy. It sits in your stomach. Sometimes you feel sluggish after. That's because fat slows digestion, especially when it's combined with refined carbs like white flour or potatoes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've never eaten fries. That would be me being a hypocrite. The issue isn't occasional enjoyment. It's when fried food becomes normal, like multiple times a week is normal. That's when your body is constantly processing overheated fats in high-calorie, low-fiber combinations. It's comfort food, it's social food, it's addictive because of the texture. But once you understand what high-heat frying actually does to both the oil and the food, you at least start being more intentional about it. Now, let's have a look at number 3, which is soy. So soy is one of those foods where, depending on who you ask, it's either amazing or terrible. Tofu, soy milk, edamame, soy protein, soybean oil. It's in a lot more things than people realize, especially if you eat packaged foods. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Soy naturally contains a compound called phytic acid. It is an anti-nutrient that can affect the way your body receives minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium. That's why you'll hear people say soy messes with your nutrition. But it's not that simple.
We should be eating the whole soil, not a soy isolate, and we should be eating non-GMO, organically grown soy.
The real issue most people ignore isn't tofu. It's ultra-processed soy.
We don't want to destroy it first with massive processing, and virtually all the soy that we eat is massively processed. So we get it as soybean oil, which has been bleached and degummed and denatured and God knows what. So there's very little from the food that's left. It's a Franken food, essentially. We also get it in protein bars, and we get it in protein powders, and then it's in the form of soy protein isolate, and they use chemicals to extract the various different proteins from it. And now again, it's a chemical product. It's a foreign product.
Soy protein isolate, textured vegetable protein, soy fillers in processed meats, and soy hidden in snack foods. When soy is stripped down, refined, and concentrated, it becomes a very different thing compared to traditional fermented soy, like tempeh or miso.
Protein bars, it's soy protein isolates. It's in a lot of the different diet shakes that are out there. So you have to start reading the labels. It's in a lot of the vegetarian patties and meats and hot dogs and things like that. So you want to avoid it. Why? Because it creates a lot of problems.
Also, most soy grown globally is genetically modified. That doesn't automatically mean it's dangerous, but it does mean it's heavily industrialized. Large-scale farming, pesticide exposure, mass processing. It's part of a huge food system.
So it's been genetically modified, and one farmer told me this. He said to me 5 times before harvest, the field is sprayed with Roundup or glyphosate, a very dangerous poison. The soybean grown in America today has been genetically modified, and it has 5 doses of Roundup. The farmer said to me, all the weeds die and the soybean keeps growing. That is a dangerous soybean.
If someone is drinking soy milk occasionally or eating edamame, that's very different from someone whose diet is packed with soy-based processed products every day.
If you get organic, certain fermented soy, they can do some of that. I don't recommend a lot of it. Why? I've seen people take too much soy, and even men. I had 2 patients come in that started drinking so much soy milk, it wasn't even fermented. They started lactating. Yeah, breast milk. Yeah, lactating. So it's okay to have some of it if it's fermented, but make sure if you do it, it has to be organic or non-GMO.
And here's something practical. Some people feel completely fine eating soy. Others notice bloating, hormonal shifts, or digestive discomfort. Bodies are different. So instead of fear-mongering, it's more about awareness. Whole, minimally processed soy in moderation, different conversation. Is soy a cheap filler in half the packaged foods in your pantry? That's when it becomes something to pay attention to. Now let's have a look at number 3, which is meat.
Today, an international panel of experts said that eating processed meats, such as cold cuts and bacon, increases the risk of colon cancer, and eating red meat likely does the same. After today's report by the World Health Organization, everyone seemed to be asking how great is that risk?
Okay, pause for a second. Have you noticed how meat is always the main character on the plate? Like, it's never, what vegetables are we having? It's mostly, what meat are we eating? Steak, burger, bacon, chicken wings. Everything revolves around it. Now, here's the truth. red meat itself isn't evil. It has protein, it has iron, it has B12. But the issue is how much of it we're eating and what kind. When someone is eating big portions of fatty red meat regularly, it can push LDL cholesterol up. And when LDL stays high for years, that's when heart disease risk starts creeping in. Not overnight, quietly, over time.
And as I told you guys, my family is riddled with diabetes. If I can essentially decrease my risk by 50% by removing something that I don't need and I can sustain myself without, then it made a whole lot of sense to me.
But processed meat, that's the bigger conversation. Bacon, sausages, hot dogs, deli turkey. Those aren't just meat, they're preserved meat. They contain nitrates and nitrites to keep them pink and shelf stable. Under certain conditions in the body, these compounds can form compounds linked to colorectal cancer. That's why processed meat has been officially classified as a carcinogen.
Too much processed meat leads to thousands of cancer deaths worldwide every year. And there is probably a link between too much red meat and cancer too. So what constitutes red meat?
So this isn't just steaks, this is pork, this is veal, this is beef, horses. I don't know who's eating those, but it's in there.
Advice on red meat.
I think it was the World Cancer Research International said less than 500 grams a week.
That's not a random internet claim. And then there's the issue of how we cook it. That black, charred crust on grilled meat, what part do people think tastes the best? High heat cooking can create compounds like heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic compounds, which researchers have also linked to increased cancer risk when exposure is frequent.
And red meat increases the risk of colorectal cancer. And for those of you who don't know, African Americans are 2 to 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with colorectal cancer and have a 40% increased risk of dying of colorectal cancer as compared to our counterparts. And so colorectal cancer is a big issue. Is one of the reasons I lost one of my grandparents.
And let's be honest about how it feels. After a heavy meat meal, especially red meat, you can feel sluggish. That's because it takes longer to digest. If your diet is already low in fiber and high in meat, constipation and gut imbalance can become a thing. Having steak once in a while is very different from daily fast food burgers, processed deli sandwiches, and bacon every morning.
So there's no question that processed meat does cause cancer. I'm talking about salami, hot dogs, canned meat, ham, because it's filled with dextrose, nitrates, hormones, preservatives, other types of chemicals. That's not an argument.
Most health issues don't explode overnight. They build quietly through repetition. And meat, especially processed meat, is one of those foods where repetition really causes havoc. And finally, for the last one on our list, we have high fructose corn syrup.
Just walk down the aisle of your grocery store, check out the ingredients on labels, and you'll see the same thing over and over.
High fructose corn syrup is the first ingredient.
It's in pancake syrup, cookies, ketchup, jelly, even cereal and soup.
Tomato soup, high fructose corn syrup.
As the third ingredient after tomato and water. Yep. So there you go. And so people think, oh, tomato, it's a vegetable. I'm giving my child, a vegetable serving.
Each year, Americans consume, on average, almost 38 pounds of high fructose corn syrup.
High fructose corn syrup sounds complicated, but it's actually corn turned into a super sweet liquid sweetener. Here's how it starts. Cornstarch. That starch gets broken down into glucose using enzymes. Then some of that glucose is chemically converted into fructose to make it sweeter. The final product is a syrup that's cheap, very sweet, and easy to mix into drinks and packaged foods.
So high fructose corn syrup is the most deadly carbohydrate on the planet.
And because it's so cheap, food companies put it in everything. Sodas, ketchup, bread, yogurt, salad dressing, cereal, even foods that don't taste obviously sweet. They just can't seem to stop.
So it's not necessarily like a food product you're going to see on the shelf in your grocery store. It's more something that is in almost all foods, especially very sweet food. Any guesses what it is? High fructose corn syrup.
Now here's where things get interesting. Glucose and fructose aren't processed the same way in your body. Glucose can be used by almost every cell for energy. Fructose, on the other hand, is primarily processed in the liver. When small amounts of fructose come from whole fruit, it's not a big deal. Fruit comes with fiber, water, and nutrients that slow everything down.
Why high fructose corn syrup is so much worse for your body than sugar is because it bypasses your bloodstream. When you eat high fructose corn syrup or a product with high fructose corn syrup in it, it's not even going into your bloodstream, it's going straight to your liver. It does not get utilized by the bloodstream like other sugars are.
But high fructose corn syrup is concentrated. There's no fiber buffering it. So when it's consumed in large amounts, especially through sweetened drinks, the liver has to work harder to process it.
Your liver is able to break down fructose. So for example, fruit. Fruit is high in fructose. It has a lot of fiber. A lot of fruit has really good fiber that's great for the microbiome. And yes, in small amounts, even the fructose from sugar is going to go to the liver. But it's not damaging because it's small amounts and the liver is able to handle small amounts. With high fructose corn syrup, we have two major problems. Is that because it's a synthetic version of fructose that has been derived from corn, it actually goes straight to the liver, and because it is so high on the glycemic index, it's such a man-made synthetic toxic form of sugar, it immediately damages the liver.
Over time, excessive intake has been linked to increased fat production in the liver, which can contribute to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Damages the liver, and then if you are eating these products over and over again, you are creating something called fatty liver disease, which non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is definitely on the rise as we're seeing food companies not take this one ingredient out of their product.
It's also associated with higher triglyceride levels and insulin resistance when consumed regularly in high amounts. And here's the part most people don't notice. It doesn't make you feel full. Because it's usually in beverages or ultra-processed foods, it's easy to consume a lot without realizing it.
And what we know about high fructose corn syrup is that when it gets to the liver, because the liver can't break it down, guess where the liver decides to put that high fructose corn syrup? It stores it as fat. So you have two major problems here. You've got the issue where, oh my gosh, it's damaging the liver, making it harder for you to burn fat. And because the liver can't break down high fructose corn syrup, it goes and it puts it and stores it as fat. This is the root of why we have an obesity epidemic in our world.
You're not sitting there thinking, wow, I just had a major sugar load. No, you are just sipping and enjoying a tasty treat that actually has bad intentions for you.
In fact, it is definitely more lipogenic. Like, look at these studies in lab rats showing like that they get way fatter than these other rats. I was at a nutritional sciences mixer. I had just gotten there. And the guy who was doing a lot of that research, his name was Nakamura, he was having a conversation with another professor. And the other professor was like, yeah, well, we know high fructose corn syrup is, like very causative for obesity. And Manny goes, yeah, because it's easy to overconsume. It's calorie dense.
The concern isn't that one product contains it. It's that it shows up repeatedly throughout the day in small, forgettable doses. And when something is that easy to consume and that heavily used in the food system, it quietly becomes a habit. That's what makes it powerful, the frequency. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is just about being aware of what you put inside your body. Because once you understand how something is produced, how it's processed, and how often you're consuming it, you start making decisions differently. Not out of fear, but out of clarity. And honestly, that's all this is about. Knowing what's on your plate and choosing from there. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
Thanks for watching this video, but be sure to check this next video out that's right here.